the heart of this nation, under skies so blue,
there's a spirit that's stirring, values strong and true.
from the mountains to the prairies, from the cities to the sea, we stand for liberty, for faith and family. We're diving deep into the heart of what we believe.
Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Good to be here.
So today we're diving into something that happened pretty recently, an interruption at a town hall.
Yeah, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's event, right? In Jackson Hole.
Exactly. Friday night. And we're going to unpack it using a Fox News article as our main source.
Okay.
The idea, for you listening, is to get a handle on what went down, the different viewpoints there, and maybe the tensions underneath it all.
Without getting bogged down in, like, the usual political spin cycles.
Right. Just trying to understand the event itself. Okay, so where do we start?
Well, the article sets the scene. AOC starts the town hall, apparently planning to talk about Trump administration budget cuts.
Yes, specifically mentioning potential impacts on local health care. That was the agenda.
The intended agenda, yeah. But it didn't quite stay on track.
No, not at all. The report says she was just getting started when someone stood up, a protester.
And started shouting. Right. The article says they identified themselves as a healthcare worker.
Mm-hmm. And the shouting wasn't about budget cuts. It was about Gaza.
Right. Accusations of genocide directed at AOC. That's a pretty sharp turn from local budgets.
A huge turn. The person apparently yelled, "You're a liar!" and then repeatedly, "War criminal."
Wow. Okay. That's intense language for a town hall setting.
Definitely. It really shows, I think, how charged some of these issues are and how they can just erupt anywhere.
Absolutely. It highlights that intersection between, local politics and these huge emotional international issues. People carry those feelings everywhere.
And what about the rest of the audience? How did they react to this?
Well, according to Fox News, not positively towards the protester, there were shouts of shame, shame, shame.
Big boos as well.
Yeah, audible boos, which tells you something about the room, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests that maybe many people there felt it was disruptive, or maybe they disagreed with the substance of the accusations, or perhaps both.
Could be. It shows that town halls are tricky spaces. People come with different expectations. Some want local issues. Others might see it as the place to confront a representative on anything.
True. So what did AOC do during all this shouting?
The article uses the word appease. Says she tried to appease the disruptor, but it didn't work.
Appease how, though? Does it say?
It doesn't give specifics on the appeasement attempt, just that it wasn't successful. The yelling continued for a bit.
And the staff? Did they step in immediately?
Apparently not immediately. It says staff allowed the yelling for a bit before approaching, and then eventually pushed her out voluntarily. Kind of an odd phrase.
Pushed her out voluntarily. Yeah, that sounds a bit contradictory. Maybe escorted her out after she agreed to leave.
Possibly. But before leaving, the protester apparently got in a parting shot.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Shame on you. I used to support you.
Oof. That really lands, doesn't it? It speaks volumes about, disillusionment.
It really does. It shows how personal these political disagreements can feel, especially when someone feels a representative isn't living up to their expectations on a critical issue. That sense of betrayal, almost.
Yeah. So after the protester was gone, things calmed down. What did AOC say then?
She addressed the remaining audience. And her response was, well, interesting. She said she welcomed disagreement.
Even people who are super pissed off, I think was the quote.
That's the one. But she immediately followed up by stressing the need for ground rules.
Meaning?
Meaning, essentially, wait your turn, wait for the Q&A session to raise your points.
Okay, that makes sense from a management perspective.
Right. Her reasoning, as reported, was practical. She said interrupting like that deprives everyone else, all of our neighbors, of getting information or hearing responses.
And that they needed structure to actually have this conversation.
Exactly. It's that classic balancing act, isn't it? Trying to appear open to dissent while maintaining enough order to actually run the event.
Yeah, you need some structure. But you wonder, in moments that heated, how much an appeal to order really penetrates the frustration.
That's the question. It's tough.
The article then weaves in some other sort of contextual points, like her fundraising.
Ah, yes. Apparently she raised quite a bit recently, $9.6 million over 3 months.
Wow. And from a lot of small donors.
Yeah, 266,000 individual donors. Average donation was just $21.
That's significant grassroots support. Her team apparently sees it as proof they can rally people together at record scale.
So on one hand, you have this evidence of broad, mobilized support.
But on the other hand, you have incidents like this town hall disruption showing deep fissures even within or around that support base.
Precisely. Fundraising power doesn't equal universal agreement on every issue, especially the really contentious ones like foreign policy.
Makes sense. The article also slipped in a mention of her recent comments about the Columbia University protests, describing them as peaceful.
Right. It's an interesting placement, isn't it? In an article about a rather unpeaceful disruption at her own event.
Yeah, what do you think the point of including that was, from the perspective of Fox News writing the article?
Well, one interpretation could be that it's setting up a contrast, highlighting what she called peaceful elsewhere versus the disruption she faced personally. It might subtly suggest, a potential inconsistency or double standard in her view of protest, depending on the context.
Kind of leaves it for the reader to connect those dots, perhaps.
Exactly. It's often about the juxtaposition.
And then, almost inevitably, the article mentions the swirling rumors.
The ambition talk. Higher office, 2028 White House speculation.
Yep, all of that. Seems like that kind of commentary follows certain politicians around, no matter the immediate topic.
It absolutely does. It adds another layer for the audience, right? Thinking about future moves, potential motivations behind current actions. It feeds the ongoing narrative of political careers.
Always looking ahead. So lastly, let's just touch on the framing by Fox News itself.
Okay.
They called the protester hysterical. That's a pretty loaded word.
It is. It can frame the person's actions as purely emotional, maybe irrational, potentially undermining the substance of their grievance for some readers.
And they made sure to note the interruption happened right at the open of the event.
Yeah, emphasizing the disruption, the break from the intended order right away.
Plus quoting the emotional outbursts liar, war criminal extensively.
All those choices, the descriptive words, the timing emphasis, the specific quotes selected, they shape how a reader perceives the event, the protester, and AOC's handling of it. It crafts a particular narrative.
Right. So if we boil it down, we had a town hall meant for local issues like budget cuts,
which got dramatically interrupted by a protester focused on Gaza, using very strong language.
The crowd reacted negatively to the disruption. AOC tried to restore order, emphasizing ground rules after the protester was removed.
And the reporting situated this within a context of her fundraising, her comments on other protests, and speculation about her future ambitions, all framed with specific language choices.
It really does put a spotlight on the tension between, free expression, even angry expression, and the need for some kind of functional structure in public meetings.
Absolutely. You see all these forces colliding. The intense personal conviction of the protester, the representative's need to manage an event and address her agenda, and the audience's own varied expectations and reactions.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is to chew on those different motivations. What's driving the protesters' urgency and anger? What are the pressures on the representative in that moment?
And what about the people in the audience? What were they hoping for and what did they experience?
What does this snapshot, this one brief, intense moment suggest about our political conversations right now? How local forums become arenas for global conflicts and how deep beliefs can spark these public confrontations? Something to think about.
In the heart of this nation, under skies so blue, there's a spirit that's stirring, values strong and true. From the mountains to the prairies, from the cities to the sea, we stand for liberty, for faith and family. We're diving deep into the heart of what we believe. Conservative values in our souls, they're interweaved. With courage and with honor, we'll hold our ground. For freedom, for tradition, in this land we found. Cherish our Constitution, the words that set us free, the right to bear